Welcome to the 9th episode of The Local Okie. I am here with Gary Aldridge, owner of OKC Firearms Training. And in this video, we are talking about what to do when there is an active shooter. Now, the probability of us being involved in an active shooter situation is very, very low. But the unfortunate reality is that they are occurring, whether it's theaters, schools, churches, etc. And so, I feel like it's better to be prepared if something like that were to happen. And so Gary's going to give his recommendations on what we need to do and kind of the thought process what to do in those type of situations. If you haven't had the chance to meet, my name is Jimmy Jenkins. I'm the owner of J&J Medicare Solutions, and we are an agency that provides seniors and baby boomers with the information that they need to understand their options with Medicare. Also, I am the host of The Local Okie, which just gives me a great excuse to go out and talk with some amazing people that's doing some pretty cool things. And so today, again, I'm talking to Gary Aldridge. So Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
And so this is my second time talking with Gary. The first time we talked about gunshot first aid. And so we decided that we would do a second show and talk about active shooter. And so Gary, if you would just give an intro to kind of what we're going to talk about, and then we'll go through everything with everyone.
I have been certified to teach an active shooter course that our company offers. We get into it can be tailored for churches, it can be tailored for businesses, whatever your needs be in that, we can tailor it for that. We get into talking about everything from the start of looking at the profile of an active shooter to how we prepare for to avoid the active shooter scenario at all, to it didn't work, we actually had an active shooter, and then after the active shooter, how to talk about to deal with law enforcement and to deal with any gunshot wounds or anything that you might have.
Okay. And so just to get started, we were talking about the profile of an active shooter. Now, again, none of this stuff that we say is universal for every situation. So you kind of have to use, I guess, I don't know if caution is the right word, but again, we are going to talk about some things to look at. And so when we're talking about the profile of an active shooter, what are some different things that we need to be looking out for?
Yeah, there's not you can't look at a person and say that person's an active shooter. You're really not going to know. But most of the time, those people they'll give signs of. They'll let you know that they'll be giving signs of they've purchased guns or they've purchased ammo or they are going to go out or they'll even talk about killing somebody or doing something. A lot of times they'll show signs, just like the shooting they just had down in Florida. The shooter there, people down there had called law enforcement and reported that kid a number of times. Nothing was done about that to deter this, and if it had been, maybe that shooting would have not ever occurred.
Right. And a lot of times, we're talking people can withdraw or, they're having problems with finances, relationships. That will cause them to do stuff like that.
You'll tell. You'll be able to say that person's they're just different now than they used to be. They'll give signs of, if they've got money problems or marital problems or something like that, they'll start, and people will notice that. And that's what you have to kind of key on and say, wait a minute. Let me. We have a concept I work in the Air Force. We have a concept of a wingman. And at that point in time, if you see somebody acting like that, talk to them. Go up and talk to them, and kind of see if you can kind of find out what's going on. If nothing else, you might find out that they do have plans of being an active shooter somewhere, and maybe you can deter that.
Right. And so earlier on, we were talking, and you said the best thing that we can do is to prevent, to prepare, and to prevent an active shooter. So, when we're looking at churches, we're looking at businesses, we're looking at schools, what are some of the things that we can do to be more prepared, better prepared?
Yeah, and the best thing to do is to be prepared, is to not have the active shooter scenario happen. If it's a business or a church and a person pulls up out front looks and says, man, they've got lights, they've got cameras, they're secure, I'm leaving. That's the best thing that can happen for you. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I know at our church, you can lock down the area to where only down to one access point, so you can control access of getting in and out. Lighting, you can have cameras up. Anything you can do to actually show. You can even put up signs out front that says this is a guarded area, and anything to be a deterrent that you can get it to where when they see it, they say, nope, not coming here, going somewhere else.
Right. And so in each one of the you are equipped to go into each different organization or church and help them customize a plan for that particular building. Now, when we're just out and about, shopping, going to a concert, what are some of the things that we need to be aware of? Like, do we need to be looking out where our exits are? What are some things that we need to be on the lookout for?
Kind of a concept that we talk about in our concealed carry concealed carry class is just being defensive and always checking out your surroundings. Always be looking around and trying to see a situation that's not right, that may be a bad situation for you or whoever you're with, and avoid those situations. If you're out at the mall and you're shopping and you walk out to your car and you're not thinking about it and you're concentrating on, well, I got to get to go eat, there may be a bad scenario right there next to you and you don't even really realize it. Come out of that mall, start looking around and start looking and watching. Oh, wait a minute, what's that scenario over there? That doesn't look right. So let's go back in the mall. Let's keep ourselves out of those kind of situations.
Right. And again, this is not that we want you to go through life living scared, but just be more aware of what's going on.
Yes.
So now that we are more aware. And again, this is not universal. This is not the stuff we're talking about is not going to apply exactly the same in every situation. But okay, so an active shooter now has entered the building. A lot of the stuff says run, hide, fight in that order. You want to run, you want to hide, you want to fight. But that's not necessarily the case. 1, 2, 3.
Right. A lot. If the preparation you didn't work, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes you can prepare all you want, it ain't going to work. So now you've got an active shooter coming in your building, or he's in your building. And that's what we always have been taught is run, hide, fight. The problem with that is people tend to see that as a checklist. I'm going to run first, then I'm going to hide, then I'm going to fight. That may not be your best choice. If it's a scenario where there's a guy pops in the door very close to you, running, you may end up just making yourself a better target for him.
Right.
Hiding, you don't have time to hide. So what I like to think of it as is the first step is assess. Assess the danger very quickly, and then go to whichever step is going to be best for you. It may be I assess it. It may be I fight right off the bat. That may be my best choice. And if you can do a combination of them, and you can always run. I mean, if the shots are way off in the building, you may have time to run, and then you may go to a hiding spot. You're hidden. That worked. Then the active shooter he found you. Well, now you better fight. So it can be a combination of those three also.
Okay, and again, it's not. Every situation is going to be different. So
yes.
Again, have the knowledge, and then again, we just have to assess very quickly how to use that. And again, hopefully we never ever have to use that. So some different things that I was reading. If you're on a 3 or 4 story building, they recommend not using the elevator. They say use the stairs. Why is that?
Right. Well, the elevator, the active shooter could turn the power off.
Okay.
And you could be stuck in the elevator now.
Okay.
Another thing that they don't say, like someone was talking about, I think down at the Florida deal, if I remember right, they pulled the fire alarm.
Right.
Well, if you're in a school building and you pull the fire alarm, what are you supposed to do?
Everyone's going to run.
Everybody's supposed to run out. So he can pull the fire alarm and stand in the hallway and wait for the classrooms to empty. Everybody's coming out. And it's making it just a shooting festival, and that's not what you want. So it's all, it's just like any other time. don't, he can turn that electric off and you're stuck in that elevator.
Right. Again, instead of pulling the fire alarm, you want to yell something, gun, shooter, something. You want to alert people as well. So now the active shooter has come. Hopefully he hasn't killed anyone and he's been defeated. What happens when the cops arrive? I mean, how should we act when police arrive on the scene?
At the first occurrence that you have any kind of instance of an active shooter scenario, the first thing, somebody needs to be calling 911 and get the police headed this way. And that can take time. It could be quick. But it may more than likely will take a little bit of time. But at least they're headed this way. Yeah, you deal with the active shooter. The active shooter's taken out. Now law enforcement shows up. When they show up, they don't know who's the bad guy and who's not. So the best thing there, basically, hands up, put gun down. Typical, let them know you're not being a threat to them.
Right. And again, I keep going back over this. Hopefully, we never have to use it. But in the case, we just need to know what to do. Now, there are some controversial topics going on about what we should do. One side says this, one side says that. So, in the example of teachers being armed, what are your thoughts about that? I'm not going to touch it, but I'm going to ask you.
I mean, I am a proponent of being able to defend yourself. The issue with teachers having guns, I am for that, but I do also believe that they need some type of additional training. Just having a concealed carry permit and what I've seen does not really give them the expertise to be defending a whole classroom of people.
And then proponents on that side, and it's not a debate, but they'll say, well, I don't want my kids having a teacher, the teacher's getting worn out, they've tired at the end of the day, and they just react and they shoot a kid. So I don't know what the solution is for this. I know things need to change. I really don't have an answer to that, but it comes down to a money thing with equipping the schools with the necessary tools, officers that they need.
That's the best thing. The best thing is if the schools could have a resource officer at every school, and that were armed and knew how to handle the scenarios.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the best deal. But there again, a school can also start doing things that are very preventive. They can have a scenario to where if all the doors are locked, you have to come through the front door and have it a double type door where when they have to be buzzed in, and then someone can examine and kind of see what we've got. You may go outside and visit with them at first and not let them in, and make sure everything's okay.
Right.
It's a tough situation.
Yes, it's complicated because you're dealing with access to guns or just someone having a gun. You're dealing with the mental illness aspect of it. I mean, there's so many different variables that go into play. It's really complicated. It's pretty. It's a big time argument right now, and so I'm interested to see what they come out with. And so, as we wrap up, you have some classes that you teach. You want to introduce when your next classes are going to be, and what you're going to be talking about during those classes?
I do. We have a gunshot first aid class, and it's March 7th on Thursday evening. And then we have an active shooter class scheduled for March 17th. The active shooter class, it talks about some of what we've talked about today in the profile, prevention, how to handle, and then it also does get into towards the end, when you deal with the law enforcement, it also has a section that deals with what if we do have people that were shot. So it also kind of includes the gunshot first aid in it also. And then I have a Oklahoma concealed carry class to get your license coming up on March 24th.
Okay. And if you have any questions or want more information on Gary's classes, just put it in the comments, and I'll make sure that he gets that, and he can contact you and answer any questions that you may have about his classes. Also, I'll be interested to hear different people's perspective on what schools should do. I'm open to hearing all different types of points of view. It's just interesting to hear different people's perspective, because sometimes you'll hear one argument and that sounds really good, but then you hear the counter argument and you're like, oh yeah, you got some points. So be interested to hear what people have to say in that regard, because it's a very, very complicated situation. So Gary, thank you so much for being on again. Hopefully this helps someone out. Again, hopefully you never have to use the information that he taught us today.
Yes.
But thank you so much for watching. If you would, please like and share this video today. And then next week, I'll be back with a lighter episode of the Local Okie. So thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.